John Belushi was an American actor born in 1949. In 1973 he appeared very successfully in a kind of parody of the Woodstock concert in the show National Lampoon Lemmings, a spin-off name of the well-known magazine from the 70s. In 1975 he dubbed a small role in the English version of the French cartoon for adults Tatsun, Shame of the Jungle. 1978 he also had a small supporting role in the TV mockumentary The Ruttles' All You Need Is Cash, an extremely funny Beatles satire portraying a dangerous producer. 2002 there was also a sequel, The Ruttles 2 Can't Buy Me Lunch, which reuses many scenes from the first part. Belushi was since 1975 in the original cast of the comedy show Saturday Night Live, where he performed together with Dan Aykroyd in 1977 for the first time as Blues Brother, resulting the following year in the Blues Brothers Band and 1980 in the well-known Cult movie. His drug abuse, resulting in his early death in 1982, is the subject of Bob Woodward's 1984 book Wired, basis for the horrible Say Named Garbage from 1989. Belushi's family and friends distanced themselves from the bestseller, and the movie contributed to the fact that his widow published with Samurai Widow in 1990 her own biography. The silly guardian angel and the addition of Woodward himself as a character are not from the book. In this super cheap looking piece of shit, Belushi is a kind of ghost whatsoever, which goes like Scrooge through his life. Among other things, the producers did also not have the rights for the SNL material and instead made some god-awful imitations. This so-called movie made of its $30 million budget just $1 million back and was widely crucified by audiences and critics. In 1978, John Landis' college comedy National Lampoon's Animal House became an unexpected huge hit. At a 1962 college, Dean Vernon tries to expel the entire Delta Tau Chi fraternity because these troublemakers don't follow any rules and are constantly partying with booze and women. The blueprint of all sex and fecal humor college films was John Belushi's successful cinema debut as Bluto. Animal House, made with a tiny $3 million budget more than $100 million back, was largely responsible for defying and launching the gross-out film genre and the first in a series of National Lampoon films like the famous 3 original vacation movies from the 80s with Chevy Chase. In the same year, Belushi also plays a small supporting role in Jack Nicholson's western comedy Going South. Nicholson plays an outlaw who is rescued by a strange woman through a spontaneous marriage before he gets hung. Belushi is one of the deputies who arrested him. The movie did neither go well with the audience nor the critics. And I also rather hang myself than to sit again through these 2 hours, which felt like 4. The same and worse also applies in 1979 to Joan Tefkesbury's Old Boyfriends. After the death of her husband, to seize new courage for life, a woman decides to meet 3 formative people from her past. The movie was so dull and boring that I almost lost my courage to live. John Belushi is the only bright spot in this slug, who plays one of those 3, also performing a few songs with his later Blues Brothers band. Better, but still the opposite of good, is in the same year Steven Spielberg's war comedy 1941. Shortly after the attack on Pearl Harbor, there's a mass hysteria in LA resulting in a total chaos. Belushi plays the crazy Air Force pilot Captain Wild Bill Kelso and is once again one of the few entertaining parts in this silly fiasco. The 2-hour train wreck burned $35 million and only managed to make $31 million in the US back. Remembered as a movie disaster trashed by audiences and critics. In 1980, the brothers Jake and Elwood Blues raise in the name of the Lord with a concert enough money for saving an orphanage from the IRS. But till they get there, they accidentally mess with everybody who crosses their way, resulting in one of the craziest car chases of all time. John Landis' $30 million action musical comedy made worldwide almost 4 times its budget back. Blues Brothers is one of the best musicals of all time, one of the best action movies and one of the best comedies. From my point of view, an almost perfect movie. And the only one, next to the Rocky Horror Picture Show, that really lives up to the title cult movie. Unfortunately, there was a sequel in 1998 with the stupid name Blues Brothers 2000. Some of the same actors and also fucked up by Landis himself. In this boring rehash, Elwood wants to give a farewell concert for his deceased brother Jake and goes with the old band and also some horribly miscast new guys on a road trip. The worst sequel of all times, which on top I suffered through back then in the cinema, was in 1998 for me catastrophe number 4. 1 to 3 was getting fired from my work, my home, and also my girlfriend. The unwatchable crap made with similar costs as part 1 not even half of its budget in the US back. Quite rightly ignored by audiences and critics. Not terrible, but also nothing I would voluntarily or sober sit through a second time, is Michael Apted's romantic comedy Continental Divide from 1981. Belushi plays a big city journalist who has to stay for reasons 2 weeks in the wilderness where he falls in love with a pretty ornithologist. In the same year, Neighbors also appeared. The black comedy is based on Thomas Berger's same-named book from 1980. Novel and movie have most of the time a similar plot, but differ clearly in atmosphere and depiction of the characters. The book is by far not that silly, has a more coherent story, more believable characters and a much better ending. Belushi portrays a married typical middle-class suburban citizen with a daughter in college and a quite unspectacular life. This suddenly changes when new neighbors move in across the street, turning his whole life within 24 hours upside down. The movie made almost 4 times its $8.5 million budget just in the US back and was a financial success, but not very well received by critics. The tone is all over the place and jumps between serious, horror and silly slapstick, especially with a confusing score. After a decent first half that plays at night, the already unbelievable story completely falls apart in the second, which plays during the day, and makes with a stupid ending no sense at all. Unfortunately, this was John Belushi's last movie.